Hi, and welcome to Equine Business Edge, the podcast for horse professionals who want to build a stronger, more profitable business without losing their passion for the horse industry. I'm your host, Jamie Birch, entrepreneur, horseman, and founder of equinerevshare.com. Each episode, we dive into real-world business strategies, marketing, system, mindset, leadership, growth ideas, specifically for trainers, instructors, clinicians, barn owners, and equine entrepreneurs. This podcast is proudly produced and sponsored by equinerevshare.com, a platform that helps horse professionals earn commissions from the products they already know, use, and recommend every day in one simple click. Now, let's jump into today's episode. All right, Zelina Coffey, thank you so much for joining me on the Equine Business Edge podcast today, all the way from the United Kingdom.
Yes, absolutely. No problem. No, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Our very first guest from outside the continental United States. I'm very excited to have you on and get your perspective today.
Good. I hope it's useful. And we'll have a good chat and have some fun.
Awesome. So let me introduce you to our audience. So Zelina is the founder of Rite Track Consulting Services. You bring more than 30 years of experience in the equine and animal health industry. Through your consulting work, you partner with tack shops and equine businesses around the world, helping them strengthen customer relationships, improve communication, develop their teams, and build more profitable, sustainable businesses. Totally fits in line with what we try to help with here on this podcast. What I love about what I've read about you and what we talked about you is you really still believe that the success in the horse industry is still built on relationships. And, whether you are personally working with people face to face or over Zoom, your focus is helping business owners and their teams communicate more effectively, create exceptional customer service experiences, and preserve the sense of community that's always made the local tack shop so special. So I am looking forward to diving into that. How did I do? Is there anything I missed on that intro?
Very succinct, Good. Very well. Yeah.
Okay. Zelina, thank you for joining us. Before we go into your history and get to understand who you are a little more, if I gave you the keys to a struggling tack shop, what's the first thing you'd change before you spend any money on marketing or developed anything? What's that first thing you do?
Yeah, so the first thing I do a lot of audits. So I often walk in as a customer first to just see how I feel when I first open that door and walk in, because you can be a new customer or you can be an existing customer. But a lot of the time people just use a tack shop that's convenient to them, not necessarily because maybe they have a good experience. So for me, it's how that member of staff welcomes me, whether they acknowledge me or whether they just ignore me and let me wander around, because we're all the same. It doesn't really matter where we shop. You can shop anywhere, but if you have someone that is straight on you as soon as you walk in, that puts you off. But equally, if someone just totally ignores you, you think, there's no customer service, there's no customer experience. And I do think, because obviously now with tack shops and they're becoming a minority, that those first experiences are key as to whether they're going to be successful and whether they have that longevity or not, because they are competing against online all the time.
That's fantastic. And that is definitely one thing I want to dive into is the online aspect. And after hearing, listening to your answer, I think of the places that I shop where I purposely make a decision not to shop online and go, it is because of the people there. Like I get to see my person who always helps me, or I know they always take care of me when I go in, and I can have a conversation about it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
so
the most
why
important
don't you
thing, isn't it? It's the relationship. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us about yourself, your horse experience, how that became part of your life, and just walk us through your career.
Okay. Yes. So I've always been horse mad. I learnt to ride when I was 4 years old. And then just wanted to spend every minute of every day outside of school, before school, with the horses every weekend. My parents didn't see me at all because I wanted to get there at 8 o'clock on a weekend and I wasn't home till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So I've always had the passion with the horses, but I also am very much an animal person as well. I'm just very passionate about animals and horses. So I did school. I was very sporty, but I often used to watch someone riding their horse in the field out of a window while there was, I was supposed to concentrate on English or doing something else, because that's really what I wanted to do. So I left school and then went to college, and I trained for my instructor. So it's called a BHS here, and the assistant instructor exam. So I went to college and I worked on the yard and I worked hard, and I got my teaching certificate so that I could teach people to horse ride. Because I thought not only does it help
Oh,
me,
wow.
but it's also something I wanted to do. And I loved that. And that's how I sort of started with that type of bug of
There's a
teaching people.
university degree for instruction. That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
it's just like, yeah, he's just, you literally study. And I think they don't do it like that anymore. But I had to learn, I was on a yard looking after 18 horses, learnt the hard way. I did all the mucking out, I did everything
Yeah.
as well as then did the teaching and the practical. Because I think then it's so important when you take your exam, because you can refer back to the practical aspects and not just reading it out of a textbook or learning it because someone's told you.
Yeah.
It just gave me that background as well, which I think is really important. I think sometimes, unfortunately, that gets missed in present day because you don't get as much practical experience. I was very fortunate to get that, so it was a good grounding. So once I've done that, then so I used to teach. I taught for a while, and then I went and thought, right, okay, I need some more skill sets. Really, I need other things to string to my bow, and I'm this age, so I got into sales. And my first sales job was actually visiting GP surgery. So that's sort of how I learned my craft of, because you can imagine they are actually quite hard to sell to, quite hard to sell a product to. So it was a good
Yeah.
way to sort of get my feet in, had some very good training. And from that, I moved on to Mars. So I sold chocolate, but I also sold pet food as well. So I worked my way through
Oh,
Mars
wow.
and got some very good training there. And I think that's probably where the basis of what I feel like the coaching and the encouraging, because I had such a good grounding and I learned all of my skill sets and how to do it from that training, because it was really important to them. And I think that's sort of, I've taken that with me all the way through, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I did that sales and I fed up with chocolate, and, I thought I really want to now use these skills, but in the equestrian industry. But notoriously then, when I first started, it's actually very hard to get in unless you had a degree in nutrition, for example, or you couldn't really work for the feed manufacturers or anybody like that because they wanted that background. But I kept plugging away, and then I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity with Dengie Horse Feeds, which are the largest alfalfa producer in the UK. And I got a job with them as an area sales manager, but in the southeast of the United Kingdom. And that, again, I learned so much, learned my craft. And that's where I started visiting retailers. So that's where I got the insights into what retailers need, what they think. We did nutrition training, but also product placement, sales, all of the revenue, how you make profit from one, all of those things I've got a really good insight into from coming in as a salesperson. And then later on, I actually opened up my own tack and feed shop, which is something I always wanted to do.
Oh,
So I
okay.
then learned the other side. So then I knew what it was like to run the business, what I needed to do, what products I needed, customer service, etc., etc. So I felt, because I'd been in as a sales representative and seeing that side, that actually then I could come in from the other side and run my business, that I had two sides of the coin, really. So that's really enabled me as I've gone on. I've then worked with animal health companies. I've gone into the veterinary sector as well because I wanted to learn that side as well, because it's also an important side of what we do. So I had a job in the veterinary sector as well. So that's enabled me now, and that's why I started really Rite Track, is because I've got all of these avenues and experience, and I wanted to put it all together and then be able to help other people with what I've learned and share what I've learned over the years. I've been lucky to have some good trainers, good coaches, and so I've been able to put that all together and then impart that to other people.
That's fantastic. The one thing, one of the things I pulled from your story is something my father has taught me and my siblings that rarely people actually do, is go work for some large companies that really pour into their employees and provide some amazing training and
Yeah,
get that experience before you go out and do your own
absolutely.
thing. And
Yeah,
I talk to my kids about that too. Like, I have a son who's in landscaping, wants to start his own business, and I'm like, learn everything you can from the best landscaping business
yeah,
here
absolutely. And you
before
also
you go.
learn
Like,
what not to do as well, don't you? As equally so. If you
yeah,
think, actually, I don't think that's quite right, or it doesn't sit with you. Like you say, you can take that then with you in your business and think, actually, that's not quite right for me. But I think, yeah,
Yeah.
a good grounding, and when you're young, I think just sets you up for later on when you do want to do your own thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now you started your tack shop and then you started a consultancy. Walk me
Yeah.
through like those decisions. Did you always know you'd start your own business, or is that in your family, or is this
Yes, it
like
is in my
what
phone.
was that like?
My dad's an entrepreneur, has been. He was a property developer when I was very young, and he is just an entrepreneur. That's what he does. So it's probably in me a bit. I think that, yeah, I can do this. But I think when I worked at tack shops myself when I was younger, so when I did the instructing, I also worked at a tack shop to have the same, a bit more income as well at the same time. And when I was very young, then I thought, well, I'd like my own. One day, hopefully, I'll be able to have my own tack and feed shop. So yes, that was always something I wanted to do. And I think, yes, the consultancy as well, because when I've been in other jobs and people used to come to me and ask for help or coaching or training, and when I worked in certain companies, they say, Zelina, you can be a mentor, you can train. And I just think it was a natural thing. I thought, actually, yes, I'd like to do this myself, but in something I'm very passionate about, which is the equestrian side, the animal side, the veterinary, that sort of side is, yeah, why not have a go myself? So, yes, that's sort of how I landed there. But it's always been in the back of my mind that I'd like to do something myself.
Was it I know for me and my wife and I don't get frightened about starting new things. Like I get excited, I'm ready to go, but not
Yeah.
everyone's wired that way. Was it
No.
excitement? Was there fear?
Oh, you have both, don't you? Like you said, you're really excited. You think,
Yeah.
yes, I've dreamt about this for so long, thinking I want to do this. This is what I want to do, and it's when it becomes a reality, it is really exciting. You think, right, and you have so many ideas, and I'm sure all of us do. Lie in bed at night, going, oh, I need to just write that down. Things come to you at funny times of the day and night, or you can be walking and you think, oh no, that's a good idea. That's what happens. But that's part of the thrill. But of course, naturally, you are also apprehensive. Is it going to work? Particularly for me, because no one else is doing what I'm doing, am I mad? Have I thought there's a need,
Yeah.
or have I thought there's something that actually isn't there? And although I think it is, are people going to be on the same wavelength to me? Are they going to think, yeah, that's a good idea? Or think, why do we need that? And of course, you have that, don't you, in every business. You're always going to get people that question you, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that you're changing the narrative and sort of changing the mindset. And particularly in the equestrian sector, sometimes they don't like change. So you've got
Yeah.
to tell them that actually this is a good thing, and actually it would help. And don't be scared. It's like that. Well, we've never done that before. I don't see why we need to do it now. But actually, well, doesn't mean you could never go. But yeah, of course, I think, but that's part of it, is it? That fire in your belly is apprehension and excitement. It's like both.
Yeah, they feel very similar, I think. Like sometimes I have to think,
Okay.
am I nervous or excited? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Which is
You
it?
know,
I
and
don't
I,
know.
Yeah, and you mentioned starting something no one's done before. We talk often on this podcast as business owners. We have imposter syndrome of
Yes.
like someone's going to find me out. I know when I started Equine Rev Share and the idea came to me, I was thinking there's just no way someone else in the horse world and in marketing hasn't put these two ideas together. And so I sat
And
on
done
it
it.
for a few days and thought, there's no way that I'm the one who came up with this idea. So did you kind of struggle through that as well?
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing, is you then need to talk to like-minded individuals. And I started to speak to some ladies that had also started their own business, but someone else that started a consultancy and more on leadership skills and things that she'd learned.
Mm.
She worked for Sky, and she said, again, the equestrian
Oh,
industry is
wow.
lacking that. So she really got me. She said, yep, you're right, it's needed. We need to bring them up with the times. Like you say, you work for these big companies and it's just normal, it's just natural. So why shouldn't the people that work in the equestrian sector have the same training and the same help? Because they can go on
Yeah.
and it'll help their career later on as well. So, I think it's important to try and find people who are like-minded and who also get you and say, yes, I'm on the similar mindset. Because it is tough, and changing people's minds is you've got to keep going and believing in yourself. But yes, you you often have the imposter syndrome, or like I said, am I mad? But do I think this was a good idea? I don't know. Why is
Yeah.
this, but you still have that inner belief, but you do have a conversation with yourself, probably daily, like, don't know, yes, no, yes, no, and then
Yeah.
something happens and you go, yes, this is it, because you talk to someone in a tack shop and
Yeah.
they go, oh, I've been looking for someone, no one does this. They all do like the generic sales training, but they don't understand our industry. And like, there we go. Yeah. Okay. And then you keep pushing because
I
it's so
love that.
niche. The
So
equestrian sector is so different, isn't it? Yeah.
it is. It is. So for our listeners who are following on ways to deal with imposter syndrome, here's another one that I love that. Go talk to people, like-minded people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What I've learned at age 51 is the idea is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And the world will let you know if it's
Yes.
not
Oh,
pretty
absolutely.
quickly.
Yeah,
So just go
definitely.
for it.
Go for it. Absolutely. You've got nothing
Is
to do. You're better off having a go and failing than having this idea and think, oh, I wish I'd done that. You might as well have a go. What you've got
Yeah.
to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Now, so you've worked in like all around the horse industry in so many different roles and parts of the industry. When you started your tack business or the consultancy, what was like the biggest surprise to you having, or maybe a different way to come at that is what should someone who's only in retail know that someone who was with a manufacturer realizes? What were these ahas that only maybe you have because of this really unique experience?
Yeah, I think the aha really it's the only thing that matters is the customer. If you don't
Mm,
do what the customer needs, if you don't provide what the customer needs, and if you don't help the customer, you have no business. So you sort of have to. It's not about you. It's not about what you think or you feel or you want. And don't stop just what you like or what you want, because it's very easy to do that. The question, oh, that's really nice. That's very sparkly. Oh, I love those. You stop them. They sit on the shelf for a year because no one wants to purchase them. It's very important to understand your customers and what they need. And then that's probably the biggest learning curve for a lot of people, I think, particularly in retail, is you've got to learn, A, what makes you money, but B, what people want and will buy regularly. Just because it looks nice or it's the latest thing, make sure they're actually going to buy it.
And tack shops are pretty local, so something that works with a colleague in another part of the country may not work with your customers.
Very much so, and we're very much in the UK like that. There's definitely a north and south. There's a difference with what sells, particularly like horse feeds. I learned that with Denji. I would have certain products that flew for me, and then up north, so well, that doesn't sell all right. My retailers. It's very much geographical, very regional. And also, I think it's dictated as well by what you do. Whether you can have a lot of show jumpers in there, a lot of dressage, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
eventers. Depends on what the people are doing with their horses, as well as much as your footfall that come in. So you can have just leisure riders in one area, no competition riders at all. So there's no point in you stocking anything for competition riders or any competition feed. But 10 miles up the road, it's full of competition people. So you've got to
Completely
understand
different.
your audience and your customer. Yeah, that's probably the biggest learning curve. You do have to understand them.
What separates? Let's talk about the tack shops. What separates a thriving tack shop from those that are struggling?
The difference, the ones that will move with the times, the ones that will adapt, the ones that will change, the ones that will stock something they haven't stocked because people do want it, and they are the ones that listen to the customers. The ones that fail or struggle are the ones that say, I've done this for 30 years, I'm going to continue doing it for 30 years because it's worked for me for 30 years and people have bought it. But they'll only then buy the same things, and I've walked in and their shelves, it's dusty, it's not moved, things haven't
Mm,
moved. They're the ones that will fail because you do have to adapt, you do have to change. And if you have to offer something like click and collect, I know it's a pain and you have to get the website done, but the investment is worth it because you'll retain those customers who want a click and collect, for example. You have to move. You can't stay where you were
and
all the
describe
time.
that to me. I'm not familiar with that term on this
So
side of the
over
water.
in the UK, yeah, particularly like people, they don't necessarily want to shop online, but there might be something that they're sitting at home at 5 o'clock at night and they say, oh, I need this, this, and this. They can order it on the shop and say, I'll come and collect it at 5 o'clock when I finish work or when I
Oh,
finish
okay.
picking up the kids from school. So it's a convenience thing rather than then having to go in the shop, walk around the shop, pick up the product. go to the till and buy it. It's already there for them. They just literally hand the ticket or the email and it's loaded into the car. So it's a convenience thing. And that really
I
happened
love that.
after COVID, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few things that were great that came out of COVID, and the curbside shopping. We do all our grocery shopping like that. I love not having to go into the grocery store anymore.
So do
And I
I.
haven't
I hate
seen,
going into-
yeah, I hate it. I haven't seen a single tack shop here. I know of none that offer the click and collect.
We have, I would say probably now 60 to 70% of them will offer it. It's a
Wow,
big thing
wow.
for
And
them.
so
Yeah.
they have to, is the biggest hurdle to that, is it getting them to change, or is it building the website that has the products on it? What's the
Yeah, I think
process
to
there?
be fair, it's the investment because obviously you have to invest in a different website. Some of them will just have what I call a generic or a basic website. It doesn't always show all the products, or it's just one that tells you about the shop, but you come in to purchase things. A lot of
Brochure.
them are now doing online as well, but it's a big investment because it's a very, you have to be able to accept payments and you have to have carts. And so for a lot of them, if it's not working as well at the moment or they are struggling, then like it's that, do I spend the money? Is it going to work? Type of balancing act, isn't it? It's a question. But most of us that are entrepreneurs will always take that risk and go, well, I'm going to invest in that because I know it's going to work in the long run. But then when you are in a business and it is struggling, it is a big investment to do. So that's usually the biggest hurdle, is the website to offer the click and collect.
And one thing I tell horse professionals and business owners here is usually someone solved this problem. You don't have to create it, the solution. There's probably a package that does all this for you, and it's more about your the cash outlay of finance investment, but also you're gonna. I'm thinking of one tack shop in particular that we go to often, and it may be 1,000 square foot shop. And I'm pretty sure they have no inventory system at all. Like if you had to, I used to do, I ran the product team at Coldwater Creek, a women's apparel company, and we had a team of 4 that would make sure that the database of products was up to date, so the website could show the product. So I'm thinking of this particular tack shop. I don't think they have any inventory, because I know when I go in and ask for a particular thing, we walk around the store. There's no like, well,
They don't actually know. Yeah.
They don't actually know. We have to go discover it together. So
Yes.
how do you like, how do you get that process from like, I don't know if we have it, to not only do I know we have it, but we have a database that then can show people what's on the site and they can shop there.
I think the key thing there is what you've just said. I don't know if I have it. So how do you know what you're selling? How do you know how much you're selling? How do you know if you're making a profit if you actually don't know what you can stock? That's the biggest question I would ask.
Wow.
How do you actually know where you are financially if you don't actually know what you've got in the shop? It's a physical impossibility to know if you're actually making money from what you have in your store, if you actually don't have an inventory and know where you are. That's the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah. And what do you do there? How do you walk them through that?
When we have that conversation, which is usually, as I say, I would say it's slightly less blunt, but we do have a company who offer those particular systems to equestrian shops. So they're there, it's ready, like you said, it's a model already set up. I would just point them in their direction and say, look, have a conversation, speak to them, see what's involved. They'll have different tiers and different, depending on the size of the shop. But, I really think that would be a good investment for you, because then you will really, this time next year, you will know where you are. You'll know what you're stocking. You'll know what's shifting, what's not shifting. You'll know what's making money and what you need to have a sale, get rid of and restock with something that is going to make you money. So it, like you say, it's already there, the infrastructure. But they might not necessarily know that, because it's very different when you come in, don't you, as an outsider and look in, you see things that you can't see when you're in and have been in for 20 years. That's the difference with any business, isn't it? Someone could come in with fresh eyes and go, just like that. If I said, oh, do you know how much money you're making? And just seeing what you get out of the till and being able to pay the staff is not making money or a profitable business. But some of them, unfortunately, They're not business people. They came in because they love horses and they want to help people and they want to provide a service to the
Yeah.
community. But it's not really a skill set they had. It's not their fault. It's just something they haven't had or done. But it doesn't mean they can't evolve and do that. But they have to want to, of course,
Yeah, and I've heard, look, I just want to train horses, or I just want to help,
Yeah.
people get the right product. I don't want to I'm not a business person. And I
Yeah.
always say, well, if I understand that, and it definitely is a different skill set, but if your goal is to help people in any way, being really good at what you're doing is going to be able to help them more. This
Absolutely.
tack shop, I walk in and it's hard to get in. There's a rack right as you walk in, and I'm always like kind of shimmying around to find, and it's a lot more dressage and and jumping and things than what I do. So
Yeah.
I always have to walk to a corner where the Western stuff is. But I can't shut my marketing mind off. So I walk in and I'm like, oh, I don't know anything really about retail, but I could tell you something's not right here.
Something's not working here. Yeah. 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 And that's the thing as well, is it's like, that's another key thing. Can you park near enough if you're picking up something or you're in your feet? Can you get in the door? That's a key thing. If it's not open and welcoming when we walk in, sometimes you go, oh, I can't be bothered to wheel my way around. I know it's not convenient for me. I'll find somewhere where I can walk in and it's there on the left-hand side, or it's by the till or whatever. And they're all, like you say, you can't help but look at that. But then if that's always been that way, they won't know any different. They don't know any different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if no one's actually said to them, oh, I find it quite difficult when I come in here, or if you do, then they think you're critical. You have to be very careful. There's a very fine line between, because this is their baby at the end of the day. You have to be very careful how you say it, because you're not criticizing them. You're actually trying to help them build this business, and you want them to be more successful. You have to be extremely careful how you approach that, because they are very sensitive. And I get that, we're all sensitive about what we do, or if we're passionate about something, we're sensitive about it. So you have to approach it in a certain way that it's not a criticism. It's just that, have you thought about, or have you tried? Why don't you try moving that from there to here? Why don't you try moving that from front to back and have a go for a couple of weeks? Doesn't work, put it back. Absolutely. But have you tried? And if they go, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a go. Let's see,
Yeah. And customers who don't like your store don't come and tell you. They don't come back. They don't even think about, I want to tell them why I'm not coming back. Sometimes they don't know. They don't like it. They don't like how it flows, and they don't know that they don't like how it flows. They just don't know, and they don't come back.
It's just like, I don't want to shop there again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now, do you work? I've had several people on the podcast. I asked this question of a young man that works with rodeo athletes. And I asked him, how do you get people who don't want to change to move into this new direction? And he said, I don't. His thing was like, I don't work with those people because they're too difficult. Someone else can help them work through change. So do you have a process to kind of, if you're working with a shop owner and they're very resistant to change, is that just, and I totally get it. I in my marketing agency, if they really didn't do what our program was, I didn't try to convince them on the program. I just went to a client who believed in it. So do you have a process to kind of help them work through change, or do you just like, okay, they're not ready yet, I'm here when they're ready?
Yeah, I mean, I have like questions I'll ask and steps that I'll go through to see what the response is really, and to see, because often people say no, but they don't mean no. They don't understand, or they're uncertain. So they're worried about what that might imply or what they might have to do. It's not always that they don't want to do it. It's just they're not sure about it. So my job then is to actually lay it out and say, this is what you would need to do. This is how you would do it. I'd help you do this, but there's this company that does this, and walk them through the steps. And if I walk them through the steps and still at the end they go, no, that's not for me, then I'll leave them with it and I'll let them have a think. Because sometimes as well, people, as we know in sales, will say no, but they might come back to you in 2 months' time and go, do you know what, I had to think about it and I worked through that. And actually, if I did this and this. So they don't necessarily always say yes at the time. And I'm quite happy with that. I think if someone rushes in and does it too quickly, they usually either don't follow it through, or they pull out, or they don't do it. So I'd rather someone took the time, because it means they're serious, and it means they're actually contemplating it and they do want to do it and they've thought about it and it's a change they need to do. So I don't worry about it if they don't come back. But equally, if I followed up with someone, I don't know, 3 times, maybe 4 times, and they're still like, no, I don't think it's for me, I'm not sure, sitting on the fence, then that's fine. It's not for them. And I acknowledge that, and that's absolutely fine for them, because it's not for everybody. And I can only help if they want to be helped. And if there's a point where they say, I don't actually need that, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in you trying to do that, because they're just going to be negative.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not beneficial for you, and it's not a good relationship. It's not beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. I always want to work with people who want what I'm offering.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want this? Yeah. Back on the click and collect. What if there's a tack shop owner? What have you seen that add to the business? I'm so excited and interested in that.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, I've known a lot of these retailers for a long time, because obviously I worked for Denji before, and as an owner, horse owner, etc. It's just footfall. They've just pulled in more people that probably wouldn't have gone there, or maybe would only go there once a month. They're maybe going there every week because it's convenient and because it fits in with their lifestyle. So it's just, and it keeps them coming back because of that convenience. Because unfortunately now in a world, we all want something instantly and yesterday, and it has to be quick. We're not prepared to wait. So it fills into that of the, like you said, with, you do the online shopping. It's how people live now. It's the lifestyle we have. So why not have it for your horses as well? That's it. It's just, as I say, just that I would just say the amount of people I see there compared to, say, 3 years before when they didn't offer it, it's made a big difference.
I would think it would, once, and again, I haven't seen anyone here do that. Once one person does it, everyone kind of has to, or they're going to be out.
That's exactly it. Exactly what happened. Yeah, exactly what happened. Someone did it, and it was quite a big retailer that said, right, we need to do this. And all of a sudden you see them all thinking, oh, we need to keep up with the Joneses because we're going to get left behind and we're going to lose our customers. They'll drive another 10 miles because they're offering that facility, which is mad, but they will do it because it means it's convenience. People drive silly places to supermarkets just because they can get something for 5p cheaper, or they will do it. That's what they do. So yes, they have to keep up with everybody. Yeah.
And it's interesting how companies like Amazon have just become ubiquitous in our how we navigate and walk through our day. I'll buy something on Amazon on my phone as I'm at a stoplight or something, and I don't really realize I did it. It wasn't this active, like, I'm going to go to Amazon and buy. It was like, I need this. Here's the easiest path. I'm going to buy it. And I can see if some of those tack shops were offering that. I know driving to the barn for lessons and our instruction and training, I would totally want to pick something up on the way to get there. And that's, a lot of people are asking, how do you compete with these large entities that are same day shipping and doing all these things? And this seems like a phenomenal way to do that.
Yeah, I think, as you say, I think it's enabled them to have a leg in, an arm in that part that is so big in our other world, if you like, in our other life. And it's enabled them to keep present and correct, and just offer something that people want. They need it and want it. So yeah, it's I think, because it is hard for the retailers, particularly online, because, like you say, they mass buy, their price is good. But if they're offering a service and then they offer help as well when you walk in, because, as wholesale owners, you do need to speak to people about, sometimes I think, I'm not sure about this. If you're offering both, I think you can't go wrong really now, right at this moment in time.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the reasons I was excited to have you on is I think we see business and the horse industry the same, similar. It's, relationships over transactions. and relationships still drive the business. Why do you think so many businesses overlook that portion of it?
I think just because, again, like you've just said, it's a world of everybody's on their phone. They don't communicate, so they think that that's sort of you don't need to. And it's lost. It's a lost skill, but actually, it's the most important thing you can still do. Because, like you said, if you walk in somewhere and it doesn't matter where it is, and it can be a restaurant even. If they're not welcoming and they don't, serve you straight away, or they don't ask if you want a drink when you sit there, all of the little things. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
still have that when you go into a restaurant. So why is it different for retail? It's still an experience. You still need that interaction with a human being. You still want to talk to that human being, and particularly, I think, with people with horses, because we like to talk about our horses, and we want to talk about our horses. And you can't do that online, but you can do that if you walk into your tack shop, and you can be there for half an hour talking. And that person, if they're good at their job, will do that. But they'll also mentally make notes of the horse, the problem, what they need. They don't know they need it yet, but they do need this because this has happened or that's happened. And that's where your sales come from, because you understand the person. And it's so important to understand the person to make the sales. If you don't understand the person that's walking in and you just let them pick up a pair of socks and whatever and go to the till, they might have bought 3 other items, but you didn't know that because you didn't have a conversation. You said, thank you very much, there's your money, thank you, bye-bye. And sometimes you don't even get
Yeah.
that. That's the shame.
Yeah. Yeah. My
And I think
wife
that's
sold
where
jewelry.
it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife sold jewelry for many years, and she would keep track of everyone who came in, what she learned about them, and so that when they came back in again, they could ask about their kids or how was the wedding or whatever,
And it
and
makes you
that
feel special, doesn't
immediately.
it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it actually one of her clients introduced us, so she had become so that relationship was built so strong that
Mm.
their client, her customer, was thinking of ways to help her and then introduced
Wow.
us
Yeah.
together.
But this
So
is it. You don't know what can happen, do you? You don't know what you can
yeah,
offer
yeah,
each other. You don't, that person can walk in and can change your life. It could change your business, it can do anything because you've had that conversation with them. But you don't know that if you don't have that conversation. And I think it's so important because we are just, most of your life, you're in front of a screen or you're on your phone. And there's some fascinating and amazing people out there that can add to your life and add to your business, but you don't know that if you don't ask or you don't talk about it. Equally, when you've got a horse, you might have a problem, and that person who owns a tack shop will say, oh, well, Jenny, she does this, she helped my friend's horse, or she helped my horse, or have you spoken to someone?
yeah,
And there again, you're solving a problem, but you're also building a relationship. So
yeah.
I just think it's so important.
What do you think the biggest mistakes that staff make when interacting with customers?
I think the biggest mistake they have is they're scared to start a conversation. I think that's the biggest problem. Well, like you and I now, we're just talking. There's nothing to be scared of. If someone
Yeah.
asks you something, I think the main problem we have now, as I said, because there's maybe not, they don't get time to do all the training that maybe you need to do, and you might get some young people that start in a tack shop, so they don't have as many life skills as maybe someone who's been there for 20 years. Is they don't have that confidence, and they worry that if someone turns around and says, oh, well, what's the difference between this bit and that bit, or whatever it is, or this supplement and that supplement, and they're scared then because they think, oh, what if I don't know the answer, I'll look stupid, or I can't help them. It doesn't matter. You can just say, I'll find out for you. Hang on a minute, I'll ask my colleague, or I'll ask the manager, or I'll go and have a look, I'll research it for you. There's no harm in researching something and not knowing it, because A, then you've got that knowledge for later, and B, you've helped the
Hmm.
customer. So it doesn't matter, does it, if you don't know it? But I think that's the biggest hurdle, is that they're scared to get into the conversation. That's the problem. They're scared to open themselves up in case they fail. But you won't learn if you don't fail. You've got to fail to learn. And people like
Do
honesty as well. You turn around and say, I don't know. They'd rather you
yeah.
were honest than go for 10 minutes going, blah, 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 and they walk out and go, that wasn't right.
Do any of your tax shops, or do you advise them to incentivize their staff to sell? So
Yeah.
to make commissions or bonuses or things like that?
I think, yeah, I think I've had conversations with a couple of them, and it's more like what's very popular is a staff night out or pizza for lunch or something that everybody can enjoy almost at the same time. I think it's not always about the money; it's more the appreciation. It's more the fact that you work hard because it's hard work. There's long hours. It's that those sort of
Yeah.
things. So they've been really popular. Or like you say, an Amazon voucher or a dinner for two voucher. Those sort of things have what been most popular with the ones I've worked with.
Yeah, we used to do competitions, and I did one where, for the most contacts made in the business
Yeah,
today,
yeah,
you get everything in my wallet. And sometimes it was $10, and sometimes it was a lot. They
yeah,
love that,
yeah.
and we do all sorts of things like that. But you come in and you train staff, you train the owners to also train their staff. Talk to me about the things you teach them, and how you teach them.
Yeah, so I did something, I don't know if you have it in the US, but I did something called insights training, which is where people are certain colours by their personality profiles
Yep.
and what they do. So I found that fascinating when I did that. So first of all, when I'm speaking to someone, I'm already thinking, are you a blue? Are you a red? Are you green? Are you a
Yeah.
mix? Because then I know how to approach them to say,
Yeah.
you equally need to do that with your staff because you can have someone who's very yellow, very out, everything's like this. But underneath, they're extremely insecure. You can equally have someone who's very red, who literally you need right. You need to do this, and this for me today. And tomorrow I need to do, but you couldn't do that to a blue person because they just go, oh, no, too much information, So that's very useful. And that's usually what I use when I'm talking to the manager, suss out their personality traits and how they like to be spoken to, really, or the best way of understanding what I'm trying to get across to them, because there's ways of getting that through, really. So that's usually how I start. And then I ask them to use that with their members of staff, just watch them, see how they respond when you say something a certain way, and watch someone recoil or watch someone do it, and then you can work out their personality traits. And then you do need to, because I think that's the thing as well, as they think one size fits all, so they speak to them all the same or they do the same thing, and you can't do that. And you learn that in sales, especially if you look after a sales team. You
Hmm.
have one, you're going one way, but you will have individual conversations with every member of that team, and you'll approach it slightly different for each person,
Yeah.
because someone might not want that target, but other person might want that target. So you equally the same with your staff in a shop. It's the same thing. I sort of apply, as I said, all of that experience I had from years ago. I apply to that. I think I lost a bit of internet then. Hopefully I'm back now.
No, I still got you. Everything. I heard everything.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love
So
the
that's what I.
personality profiles.
Oh, it's
Those are
fascinating.
those are
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
My
they're brilliant.
to my me and my siblings' chagrin, my dad had us do that as a family, and we all hated him for it. But we did learn a couple things. I learned in interacting with my sister, she needs to know the why behind the
Yes.
task before she can move forward. And
Yep.
that would always frustrate me in doing anything, we would do anything together, because I just need to know what we're doing. I don't care
Yeah.
why, and I will go forward. And we would have arguments about
Yeah.
that. And then once you realize that, it was super, super helpful. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I did that almost every company I've worked for. That's what they started with. You started
Yeah.
with the personality profile. And I remember I was probably 24 working at Coldwater Creek, and the end of the first week, my boss came. I heard her, shouting to me from down the hall, and I heard her waving this paper, and she had my personality profile, and she
Yeah.
threw it down, and she was laughing, and she said, if I had created the four things I needed this job to have, it would be these four things. This is hilarious. I've never hired someone who fit this so
It's the
perfectly.
whole thing.
And
Yeah. Exactly.
it
Yeah.
it it did fit. That's how I found what I love to do,
Yeah.
is because it fit who I am. Do you find a lot of resistance in starting out there with the personality
Yes,
profiles?
yes. Some of them love it because they've never had it before, so they're like we are fascinated by it. Think, oh, that's amazing. And of course,
Yeah.
you get some that just literally like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to know. I don't know. Da, 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 da. So if that's the case and I don't want it, I'm just mentally doing it in my head and just approaching my
Yeah.
questions according to how I think they're going to react, so that I get the response I want. So most people, as I say, just want to know, really. They quite like it. And I sort of explain the concept. Oh, actually, that's quite. But yes, you're always going to get some people who are, yeah, wary of it because they're like, well, if you say I'm this, what does that mean, type of thing? Or is that going to go
Yeah.
against me rather than it being a, you know. So I do get that. Yes, of course, people worry about how sometimes that type of personality, is it going to make a difference? Or is my manager going to say, oh, you're not the right fit? It's nothing to do with that, but you do sometimes have to explain
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I had one business owner, we did the personality profile, I think called Strength Finders, at a conference, and there was probably 30 people, and we all did it. And this business owner said, "See, now I just get to tell all my employees, this is who I am, and you have to deal with it." And I'm like, that is not what this is for.
Well, no, don't use it as an excuse.
Yeah, or a
Better
weapon.
yourself. Yeah, but not as a no.
Have you
Yeah,
ever
that can happen.
have you ever researched the Enneagram?
No, haven't.
It's a personality profile system. What I like about it is instead of just giving you a color, because I've found that people then through the rest of their life they're like, I'm a red. But we change, and in different
Yeah,
circumstances, you may be a red in a business meeting, but you may be yellow and blue at home. Or when you're really healthy, you're a red, but when you're not, you're a blue. And so the
yeah.
Enneagram allows for that movement.
Oh, okay,
So
interesting. Yeah,
that's what I taught. So or that's what we used at JEB. It was really super interesting. What I loved about what you said is, and what you're kind of alluding to is, as leaders, we have to be different to
yeah,
different people. When someone may need very direct conversation, and another person, that direct conversation may seem like a threat, and they
interrogation.
they
Yeah,
can't handle that.
exactly.
And we as leaders have to change, have to
Yeah,
be different for different people.
yeah. You have to. I think adaptability. I think we've all had bosses or managers who we've just thought, you haven't got a clue. You don't understand me.
Yeah.
You're actually making me go the other way. And as soon as I can find another job, I'm going to leave. That's the problem, is when they don't assess who you are or the situation. So I think it's very important that you just have a bit of a handle on that.
Yeah, and I have 4 kids, and if I was the same way to each of them,
You're not allowed
it'd be
favourites.
more chaos than it is. What's that?
No favourites. You're not allowed favourites. No.
No favorites. No, no, that's for sure. What communication skills do you find are the most successful in these roles?
Um, I think they equally have to be adaptable. I think because they've got to be willing to learn new things, and they need confidence. But I think not just self confidence, not just confidence, because they've got to believe that they are good at their job and that they can genuinely help people and they do genuinely know what they're doing. And that's often a case, is they just lack self confidence. They just don't feel like they're they're doing it right, or they're doing the best of
Hmm.
their ability. But that's just because they haven't been given that confidence. And look, this is fine. You're really good at your job. And like I said to you before, don't worry if you don't know. It doesn't matter. You can learn, and actually learn. You'll be better
Yeah.
at your job. And it's just that's a big hurdle. I think is just self confidence, because if some of them have fallen into it, some of them have had the job because they will need to earn money to afford their horse, and because they know about
Yeah.
horses, they've gone for the job. They've not necessarily all gone, I aspire to work in a tack shop or a feed shop. It's more they're
Yeah.
falling
Yeah.
into it. So that's where the lack of confidence comes, I think.
Okay. And confidence may come with some training, a system for
Yeah,
how to do things, and just
yeah, exactly.
practice,
Just
right?
approaching things, absolutely. How to have a
Yeah.
conversation, not to be scared of having that conversation. I think that's the biggest thing, is it's not scary. It's the same, isn't it, in anything, like the first time in a new job you pick up the phone. You don't want to pick up the phone because you don't know if you're going to know the answer, you don't know how to approach the person. But then 3 days down the line, when you've done it umpteen times, if you've done telesales,
Yeah.
you don't even think about it. It's that same concept of once you've done it and you've done it for a few times, you don't think about it. But it's the what if and the unknown.
I would, when I hired new people to be affiliate managers and they'd never done it before and they didn't have any sales experience, so they didn't really know how to talk to people, I would arrange their first like 5 conversations were friends of the company.
Yeah.
So they knew, look, your first call is with Mike, and Mike
Yeah.
has had a first call with 20 of our employees,
Yeah.
and your guys are gonna talk, and he's not gonna
Don't
stump you
panic.
with
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
Yeah.
He's part of your training.
Yeah.
And so you can have a couple calls before you go and do it in the
Yeah.
in the real world and in the jungle.
That's a great idea. Exactly. I do the same thing. I do like a role play with them. So when I do their training, if it's in person as well, I would do like, I've come in, I'm this customer, this is what I need, or this is the problem I have. How would you approach it? What would you say? And then do it with
Yeah.
one of their colleagues as well. Okay, she's come in. How would you approach it? Like you say, a comfortable, safe space for them to learn
Yeah.
their trade. So then when they do speak to a real customer, it's not as daunting. So, oh, okay, I've done this. I've already done that. I sort of approached that, or did that with Zelina, or I did it with Jodie or whoever. It's not such a big thing, because I think of everybody, if it's in your head, it becomes a big thing. It becomes more than it should be, because it's actually not any different to you talking to your friends or talking to your yard buddies. It's no different.
Yeah, yeah. I always felt like when I was prepping for this conversation, I thought, man, if I were to give someone one question here in a tack shop for anyone to ask, it was, tell me about the horse you're shopping for.
Yeah, exactly
Or
that.
tell me about your horse.
It's simple as that. Tell me about your horse. Yeah. Like
There's an hour conversation.
It's exactly what I was saying. People love talking about their horses, so that's all you've got to do. Or if they bring in a dog, oh, lovely dog. How old's the dog? You know, like
Exactly.
you say, anything they love, it's very easy to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've always, in sales, I was taught if I spoke more than 40% of the time in that conversation, I spoke too much. And
Yeah.
you get them talking about themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's where you learn. That's what you're learning about them by them talking about themselves. Yeah. And if you talk too much,
And
you miss you.
yeah. What do you think separates like an average employee from an exceptional one?
The willingness to learn, and the ones that are the best are the ones that want to do well. They have pride in their job, and they enjoy what they do, so they want to do it to the best of their ability. They have the right mindset and the right attitude. If they go in and I'm here because I have to be here. I don't really want to be trained. I don't really like it. What
Yeah.
time's lunch? What time can I go, for a cigarette? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
they're never going to be successful. But the ones that say, actually, shall I go? And the ones that they'll go and say, I'll go and tidy that, or shall I go and do that, or shall I go and fill that up? The ones that can use that as well, they're the successful ones.
I totally agree. I had one employee, then the example I always give was I never had to empty the garbage in the office when he worked for me,
Yeah.
because he just did. If it was there that needed to be done, whether it was part of his job and part of our work, if it even wasn't, he would just do it. Jeff, if you're listening, I still brag on you, buddy. But I would tell my kids, like, I want you to be like him. When you go to work, if there's a problem, solve it. Just go solve it. You don't need permission.
The biggest thing and the nicest thing as a manager or an owner of a business is someone that just uses their initiative and does things without being asked. That's the difference. And you recognize it and you appreciate it. And that's the difference between, someone that just literally clocks in and clocks out, or actually does the little things that no one expects them to do. But they are noticed. And I think that's the thing as well, is they need to know that they are noticed. Like, oh, thank you for doing that. That's another key thing, is acknowledging when people go that extra mile and do something.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for, that makes a big difference, because then they go, that keeps that enthusiasm, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, I'm doing a good job. I'm recognised for doing a good job.
Yeah. Recognition goes so far. so
Makes a
far.
huge difference. A thank you makes a difference. It's
Yeah.
massive. It's a very simple word, but my goodness, does it make a difference? Especially if you've done
Yeah.
something and it's taken you a long time to do it as well. Someone turn around and go,
Yeah.
"Thank you for
Yeah.
doing that. I really appreciate that."
You've worked with tax shops, in many different countries. Is there a certain geographic region that does something very, very well that the others can learn from?
Um, I think it'd be unfair to say that because I think it's so different in every
Yeah.
country because your customers
Yeah.
are very different because of the different nationalities and what they expect. So I don't think I can really say that wholeheartedly because I think you have to approach it very differently to every different area in every country. So for me, it's very important when I'm speaking to them, to understand, like I said to you, their demographic or their type of customer that are coming in. Because as I said, in the UK, we have regions that are full of enters or full dressage, full show jumping areas. But like you say, you've got Western. It's
Hmm.
acknowledging the difference there and what's probably more prevalent and what isn't, and do they have like leisure riders over here or do they not, or it's understanding that. So it's quite hard for me to say that really. I can't really answer it because it's very very different in every
Yeah.
country. Yeah.
Here we just say that all the horse people here are weird, including me. And
Yeah,
you can put 10 of us in a room and ask one question and we'll give you 35 different answers
that is very
and
true. Yeah.
argue vehemently
Yes,
in
that you're
defense of
right.
every single one. Yeah.
And that's the thing with
Yeah.
every different discipline that you do with your
Oh
horse is
yeah.
right and the other one is wrong. That's the
Yeah.
thing. As you say, we're very unique community, and it doesn't really matter what country it's unique everywhere.
Yeah, and there's something about what we do is on the back of maybe a 1,200 pound animal,
Yeah,
and that makes it different. It's just different. And
yeah,
that's why I think what you said in the beginning is your customers. You
you
have to
do.
know your
Yeah.
customers. If you go into a shop and you feel like I don't think they know their customers, how do you walk them through like fine? I think sometimes our horse trainer, her and I walked through all her customers and really spent some time on like what were the ones she enjoyed working with, what
Yeah,
were the most profitable ones,
yeah,
where did that overlap so you could have enjoyment, fulfillment, lack of overwhelm, and profit.
yeah.
And that was hard for them to do. I would think in a tack shop, you're kind of looking around, but how do you, if they don't have a grasp on their audience, what do you do there?
I think I go right back to the beginning and just say, if you've had how many customers have you having in today? How many of them did you actually have a conversation with? How many of them do you know really well? How many of them do you know how many horses they have, or do they have children that ride? So I break it right down, right back to the beginning, and then they suddenly go, "Oh, I don't. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh no, because I was on the phone, and then I went and then I didn't. Oh, and so was doing it, and then they suddenly think, oh." Oh, actually, yeah, no, I didn't, I don't really know. And that is almost like a bit of a light
Yeah.
bulb moment. I think, don't actually know them that well. So, well, that's what you need to know because then how do you know what you're stocking is right if you don't know what they need? Because they can come in, they can be very
Yeah.
pleasant and buy one thing, but they could have probably bought five things from you if you'd had that they wanted. And they're not going to say that to you unless you have the conversation and say, what do you actually need? Or what did you come in here
Yeah.
for today? If you don't actually know what they came in for, they can go in and go out without it and go online or go down the road.
And I know for me as being a customer, sometimes I have questions and I don't want to answer because there's also, at least in the Western world, there's very much if you're an outsider, then and you ask a stupid question, what someone feels is a stupid question, maybe they're generationally into the horses and you're not, and you ask a question that that person would know, you're either apprehensive
Yeah,
about being looked down upon or you
yeah,
are. So I found the places that I go that I love the most is that owner or that anyone working there, they come out and they have a conversation. And then even if I'm apprehensive about wanting to look at a certain thing or asking, about this bit or, trying something on or something, through that conversation, they always seem to suss out what I want.
Exactly.
And then I don't have to feel like an idiot asking about it.
No, absolutely. That's basically it. That's the fact finding. It's just having a conversation. And those are the people that, and some people can do that naturally. They don't have to think about it. They just strike up a conversation and they ask those questions that get them the answers they need for the sales. And other people, you have to help them. You have to train them to think like that. But that, yeah, exactly. You shouldn't feel like it's the Spanish Inquisition. You're just having a conversation. But they're getting everything they need out of you.
Yeah, love that. So one more question before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
How are you seeing AI impact this sector of the industry?
Yeah, so I don't think I don't think it's really affecting. I think the only way it's affecting the tax shops is that people will put in like a question they possibly would have asked someone, a manager in a shop, they'll put it in AI and then suddenly they know it all. And, AI is good for certain things and it's very useful to use or to save time, but it's not like you have to, particularly when you talk about horses, there's so many variables and so many things that a computer can only pull from the information it has, but it doesn't have that real life experience. So it's very good for certain things and it's very time saving for a lot of owners and managers to do things and tasks that would have taken them. And let's face it, they don't have a lot of time. But I think it can be equally, on the other side, a bit dangerous because it can suddenly make this person, think that they're an expert and they're not. And they can go down a rabbit hole that maybe isn't a good rabbit hole without speaking to someone that actually genuinely knows, or speaking to a vet, for example. I think that's where it can get a bit dangerous when you're talking about animals.
Yeah. Awesome. Totally agree. Well, Zelina, thank you so much. I thank you for taking time at the end of your week, the end of the day, to speak with us. I have enjoyed meeting you and spending this time and learning about what you do so very much. How can listeners follow you and interact with you?
Yep. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So that is under my on Facebook and LinkedIn, on Instagram, it's Equine Solutions. And then on LinkedIn, it's Rite Track Consulting. So they can follow me on there. I do have a website as well, which is Rite Track Consulting Services too, which has all my contact details on.
Awesome. And we will include all of those in the show notes. And that's how they can get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed this. And we are right at an hour. I promised an hour. We got right there. And I asked maybe 10% of the questions I had for you. So if you're okay with it, I'd love to have you on again and just kind of rapid fire go over some questions.
Yeah,
maybe we'll schedule that for the later in the year.
So that's probably why.
So one last thing. You talk to us about your services at Rite Track Consulting so that everyone knows like what you offer, and we'll include how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, fab. So I offer tack shops or equestrian shops or pet shops, sort of sales support and training, coaching, mentoring, anything really that the business might need. I'll have a look at it. I can do an audit. So I can do that virtually as well. I don't have to be there in person. I also have training courses that I run through. So I have a PowerPoint presentation and I can train that way. So again, equally, that can be done online. I also offer online business services. So I can do sales strategies, all sort of things that a business might need from an outsider really on a consulting basis. But it's predominantly and very much so in the equine and animal health sector because that's what I'm most passionate about and that's where all my experience comes from.
Outstanding. So we will list all of that in the show notes. So everyone, if you want to get in touch with Zelina or you're having trouble with your tack shop scaling, growing, and just surviving, definitely please reach out to her on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and all those links are in our show notes. Zelina, thank you so much for joining me today. You are welcome. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Equine Business Edge. If you got value from today's conversation, make sure you subscribe, follow, and share this episode with another horse professional who could benefit from it. Word of mouth is how great businesses and great podcasts grow, and your support truly helps us reach more people in the horse industry. And this podcast is proudly produced and sponsored by equinerevshare.com. Equinerevshare.com was built specifically for horse professionals, trainers, instructors, clinicians, boarding facilities, influencers, breeders, and all sorts of equine business owners who are already recommending products to clients every single day. Whether it's tack, supplements, grooming products, apparel, feed, training tools, or barn equipment, your clients are already asking what you use and trust. And we provide a way for you to make that happen, earn a commission, and all doing it the same way you do it right now. Equine RevShare helps you turn those recommendations into an additional income stream by giving you access to retail partnerships and easy-to-share product links from equine brands and retailers all over the world, all in one place. No complicated tech, no inventory, no awkward selling, just your cell phone. Just a simple way to get rewarded for the influence and trust you've already built in the horse industry. To learn more or get started, visit equinerevshare.com. And thanks again for being here. We'll see you in the next episode of Equine Business Edge.